So a true story. I believe the year was 2001, 2002. My wife and I live in Central Oregon, and everything is deeply covered in snow. And we're going over the Santiam Pass. And for people that don't know what that is, just think really, really narrow roads that are all engulfed with, hills and so forth. And then most of the time, just directly to one side or the other, you're looking way, way down a huge ravine, just a huge drop off the side of a mountain. Big road for lots of truckers and loggers, lots of big vehicles. And it was really cold, super slick. My wife and I are in this little tiny rear-wheel drive Ford Ranger. Rear-wheel drive Ford Ranger. Just a two-seater, no extended cab. And it's like 9:30 in the morning, and we're on our way home from Salem, Oregon, which is like a 3-hour drive, I think. So we're about an hour out now, at the top of the Santiam Pass. And have you ever had one of those moments where you're suddenly just completely compelled to pray urgently? It just happens very few times in my life, but this particular morning, very compelled. All of a sudden, I grabbed my wife by the hand and I said, we're supposed to pray for our safety. I just immediately go to it. Lord, I don't know what's going on. I just pray immediately for your covering, your hedge of protection. I just pray for angelic intervention. Lord, I don't know what's going on. And I come around the corner, Sam, and I'm not kidding you. This huge semi is in the middle of the highway at a complete and dead stop. A total blindside coming around this hill, and I have almost no time to hit my brakes before I run smack dab into the middle. This was moments right after this immediate urge to pray for this hedge of protection. Well, there was a guy behind me in a full-on semi pulling logs as well. I come around the corner, I slam on the brakes, and of course we're on the snow, so the rig is just... And I almost run completely into the back of this guy. I don't know what the deal was. I think he had stopped. There was no shoulder. All there was a tiny little guardrail and then a cliff. And I think that's why he didn't pull over and get off the road, and he wasn't able to get up and over this hill that we were on because the lack of traction. So here's this guy, and he's doing chains like as frantic as he can right in the middle of the highway. And the only way to get around him, is to drive into the oncoming lane and get around him. And for one split moment, I almost decided, I don't know if I've got time to go around him in the oncoming lane. Something said, no, don't do it. Take your gambler's chance that you won't run into the back of his truck here. As soon as I do, oh my goodness, probably this close to the back of his vehicle. And the semi behind me is doing the same thing, and he's trying not to jackknife. He comes around the corner, and I just know we're going to get totally sandwiched. And all the while, in the oncoming lane, here comes another semi. We are like right in the middle of what was going to be a 50-ton just train wreck. This guy here does not have time. He is still full on going. So he does what I almost did. And I could literally feel the air waft my car like this. He comes up right behind me and he goes, because he knows he's never going to have time to stop, and he's going to sandwich me completely. And I look off in the distance, and here comes this oncoming semi. So now you've got two semis in a snowstorm on a hill coming right at each other. And I mean, he barely hit the back of my car. Again, I felt the wind go. So both rigs coming together, and they both barely make it with just enough time. And this guy's, the back of his truck goes right on by the front end of the car, the truck that was parked, and this guy comes. Oh my goodness, it was intense. It gets better. Our adrenals kind of calmed down. We just waited. The guy finally got his chains on, and then he starts crawling. We were able to get going, and I got home about an hour later. And I'm telling this story to my staff at Camp Davidson, and my dad, who was on staff there. He turns white as a ghost. And his jaw drops like this. And he goes, "What time did you say that was?" I said, "Probably 9:30. He goes, "At 9:30 this morning, I got this sudden, total compulsion to pray for your safety." He said, out of the blue, I'm just working. I'm updating Raiders News Network, which was at the time his ministry. I'm just typing away. And then suddenly, pray for Joe and Catherine. Do it now. Do it right now. So there you have it. I think God totally pardoned us from a kind of situation you don't come back from.